Have you ever wondered how firefighters always get into every building we're called to? Whether a door is locked or not, whether an apartment is on the ground floor or on the 20th floor of an apartment building or a skyscraper, if someone needs our help, we're getting in. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly how we do it. There are three things that I consider as a firefighter before I decide how I'm going to enter into a locked building. Before I tell you what those three factors are, there is one actual little known fact about firefighters that I need to explain first. Did you know that firefighters do not need a warrant to enter a locked building or a private residence? Unlike law enforcement, where a warrant, often signed by a judge, is almost always needed before forced entry can be made, if a firefighter has reason to believe that there is a fire or that someone needs our help, we can go ahead and we can make entry without owner or occupant permission, up to and including forcing our way in if the situation warrants it. If you didn't know that firefighters do not need a warrant to enter a building, consider giving this video a like to let me know that you've learned something. It helps the content of this channel reach more people too, and I appreciate that. While this legal leniency allows us to help far more people in a much more timely manner, it also puts firefighters in a position of distinct harm. If we break into a locked residence because we have reason to believe that someone needs our help, we are putting ourselves in the direct line of someone's home defense system, whether that be an aggressive watchdog or someone with a baseball bat or even a firearm. Someone may believe that they are defending their home against an intruder when in reality is simply a firefighter trying to help. And tragically, firefighters have been killed in the line of duty due to this misunderstanding. I've actually had my own close calls because of this very concept. And believe me, it can happen, and it's a real risk for firefighters that almost no one thinks about. So what are the three factors that I consider as a firefighter before deciding how I'm going to enter a locked building? The first is always the urgency of the situation before me. If we are assisting paramedics with entry into a locked home because an elderly person has fallen and can't get up, but we have verbal contact with them and we can determine that they're not seriously injured, the importance is still high, but the urgency is low. We have time on our side. We can take that extra 5 minutes and it isn't going to negatively affect patient outcome. If I arrive on the scene of a structure fire and I'm told on that front driveway that there is someone trapped inside, as I observe smoke or fire pouring out of a bedroom window, the urgency is now extremely high. Seconds matter for there to be any chance of saving a life. The first factor to consider is urgency. How much time do we have to make entry without negatively affecting the outcome of the situation? The second is the potential damage to the building. If you are unfamiliar with the incident tactical priorities that firefighters consider on every single call we go to, go and watch my video, Why Firefighters Sometimes Let Houses Burn. I go into detail on life safety, incident stabilization, property conservation, the big three priorities for me on every call. When it comes to potential building damage, I want to do as little as possible without violating my higher priority of life safety. Ideally, we can enter a structure without doing any permanent damage. This could be throwing a ladder to an unlocked second-story window or carefully trying to depress a door latch with a shove knife, let's say. Either of these techniques leave the building in the exact condition that we found it. Perfect. The second factor is damage to the building. Less damage is less financial burden to the owner and is always safer and easier to resecure once the emergency is over. Less damage is always better. The third is risk to civilians and to firefighters. Think about a comparison with a car accident. So in a similar manner to when I go to an MVI, if I need to break a window on that car, I'm breaking the window furthest from the patient first. We don't want to force entry into a building where we're going to do more harm than good. Let me give you an example. I've had many patients who call for help after they've collapsed behind the door. We go to the scene, we're trying to open the door, and the door won't open because the patient is blocking it. If I was to plunge cut a chainsaw through that door as a very fast way to force it open, well, of course, we would call that counterproductive with our otherwise uninjured patient lying merely inches on the other side of the door. We are not going to do anything that is going to further injure our patient as we try to help them. We also consider the risk to firefighters. Breaking a window on the ground floor of a house is going to be safer for firefighters than breaking a third floor window from a ground ladder. All other things being equal, we do not want to put our firefighters at more risk than is necessary in any situation. Firefighting involves risk, and we all know that. But if we can accomplish the same objective with lower risk to firefighters, that's a win. Or going back to what we mentioned about not requiring a warrant to enter a building. It will be much safer for firefighters to take that extra time to verify with an occupant that we were given the correct address before we recklessly break down the front door of a house. We do not want to be met with an armed homeowner who didn't call 911 because the address to our dispatcher was recorded incorrectly. Mistakes happen. There are humans involved along the whole chain. If we can verify that information, we're keeping our firefighters safer. So the third factor is risk to civilians and to firefighters. We do not want to do anything that makes the situation worse for our patient or victim, and we do not want to put our firefighters in harm's way any more than is necessary. If you're like me, you don't like subscribing to YouTube channels. It feels like a commitment you're not quite ready to make with someone you don't even know. It's really not that scary though. The channels that I have personally subscribed to are the small ones, and I don't want them to get lost in the algorithm. When someone is creating content that I find interesting, I'll subscribe just so that I'm shown more of their videos in the future. If you find this video interesting, I'd encourage you to consider subscribing for the same reasons. So now we've put it all together. Firefighting is all about split-second decision making. There are times when the situation warrants no questions asked, breaking down the front door, or smashing out a window because seconds matter. There are other times when a quick 60-second survey looking for unlocked windows or throwing a ladder to a patio door that's unlocked could be an acceptable delay in order to reduce property damage. And there are times when a several-minute delay is the most prudent to carefully slide open a top floor window or wait for a neighbor with a spare key or gently spread a door jamb, insert our reciprocating saw, and cut that deadbolt. When urgency is high, property damage and risk to firefighters go up. When urgency is high, we will use tools such as our firefighting irons. The irons is a combination of the Halligan tool, which is similar to a crowbar, and a flathead axe. And we can force entry through prying and through striking with this set of tools through most residential doors. If we have stronger doors, we can quickly force entry with the use of power saws. We can cut the hinges if the hinges are exposed. We can cut the door latching mechanism if that's exposed. And as I mentioned, we can even plunge cut with a chainsaw through a door, reach inside, unlock the mechanism. If there's glass either in the door or beside the door, we can break out that glass, we can reach inside, and we can open it up. Those are all ways that firefighters will gain access very quickly when the urgency is high. When the urgency is low, justifiable damage to property and risk to firefighters, it also drops. Forcible entry into structures is all about this 3-factor risks benefit assessment. Trust me, when time is of the essence and you need our help, we are getting in now. But also know that we aim to do no more damage than is absolutely necessary to help you, regardless of the situation.